Today we're going to be testing out VY from Vezept. Now this is basically like a new AI agent, but it's very unique in the fact that you can just pull up a window, as you can see right here, and you can instruct it to do exactly what you want, and this can work directly on your laptop to just change whatever you want, right? Pretty wild stuff. So I'm going to show you exactly how it works, how to use it, etc. And basically, step by step, we'll get straight into what it can do and what it can't do. So essentially, you can actually download this for free. It's just got announced like a few days ago. So this was the announcement, and Vezept said, today we're excited to introduce VY, our AI that sees and acts on your computer. So it's really easy to install. You just download it, and then you can download this for Mac, I believe. You can also watch a demo if you want to. It wasn't working a few days ago, apparently, when a few other YouTubers tried to use it, but it's working perfectly for me today. You can see I've already opened up an instance here, and it worked perfectly. Didn't have to pay for it or anything like that. And it says, basically, at Vezept, our mission is to reinvent how humans use computers, enabling you to accomplish orders of magnitude more than what you can do today. VY is the first glimpse at AI that sees and uses your computer just like you do. And that's the key here is, like, for example, when you're using these other computer use agents, like for example Claude or for example Rucode, etc., it's good, but it's limited and it's quite technical to set up, and it doesn't really tell you what it's doing. And sometimes, it's quite easy to mess up, or you have to run debug mode on Chrome, etc. Like, it's not that easy, right? Whereas, for example, this seems to be really interesting because it can interact live with your files, and it kind of uses your computer in the same way that you would, right? So, for example, let's open this up. You can actually, once you've downloaded this, so if you go to VY, download for Mac, once you've installed it, you have to allow the settings for it to, number one, screen record, and number two, access your mouse and all that sort of thing, all right? So you have to set up a few security settings. It takes like 2 minutes. Just be aware that it is interacting live locally on your computer, which means that there's probably some security risks there, right? So just be careful of that if you're setting this up on your own laptop. I'm using it. I'm the human guinea pig, right? Testing AI, but I just want you to be aware of that, right? So you can see inside here, for example, what we can do is if we just press Command and Space on a Mac, then click on VY, click Open, you can see an example right here. And then we can start a new chat, start using this. So let me show you exactly how to do that. We'll click New Chat in the top right, and then you can flick between which display screen you want. So I've got two screens here. This is my main display, and then I could also control stuff on my other Mac desktop as well. And then from here, we're going to get straight into this. GooGLE is saying, is it live? Yes, this is live. And WF says, I have such a hard time being consistent with building an online business because everything keeps changing. Everything changes, technology always changes, but the fundamentals remain the same, all right? Just bear that in mind. So let's get straight into this, and we're going to test this out. We'll start with the basics, all right? Very, very basics, and then we'll move forward and we'll keep pushing and keep testing more and more, right? So, for example, if we open this up and we're like, right, okay, check the S&P 500 share price today. And you can see we've inserted this command, and now it's running. See how it's got that stop button? You can stop the agent if you want to, but right now it's just going to figure out what to do. Now again, I haven't plugged my credit cards into this. It hasn't asked me for any payment methods, and it's now opening up a new tab, which we can see over here. All right, so it's opening up this new tab, it's capturing the screen, etc., and it's doing its magic. And then it's like, right, I can now see the S&P 500 price, share information. Here's what I found. Now I wonder if we can make this bigger. Seems to be quite limited in size. I kind of want to show you a bigger version of this. But you can see here it says, capturing the screen, here's the details of the S&P 500, additional information, previous close, open, high, low, etc., stock market prices, or stock markets are typically closed on the weekend. And then also you can play this back, right? So you've actually got a recording of what it did step by step. So it's a 31-second task. If we click play there, you can see what it's doing, right? So it's actually pulling up the information right there. And I believe if we open up that folder, we can actually watch back the recording or find the file for it. So if we open that up, we'll open up with VLC. And there you go. There's a screen recording of what we're doing, or what the AI is doing. All right, so you can just watch that back, see what it did, etc. Absolutely crazy. Surab is asking when will this be available for Windows. I'm not sure because this literally just came out for Mac, so who knows? But I imagine it's going to come soon because they're missing out on a big part of the market otherwise. Xiao says, keep going, bro. You're awesome. Thank you very much, sir. And Brian says, can it run Xcode and interact with it? I'm not sure about Xcode. I don't really use Xcode myself, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure anything on your laptop, you can interact with it pretty easily, right? So, absolutely wild what you can do with this and how it works, etc. Right? And that was just like a very, very simple test. It's one of the smoothest experiences I've ever seen. Like, for example, I've used Retriever AI and stuff like that in the past. That gets quite messy, I'll be honest with you, because sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it gets super annoying, etc. This seems to work really nicely, and you get a good screen recording as well. Plus, you don't have to plug in an API, right? You install it. That's it. Job done. I haven't seen any limits on this yet, which is surprising as well. So it's going to be very interesting. Let's test this out and take it a step further, right? So what I'm going to say now is open up Ahrefs and do some keyword research for SEO. We want to take it to extremes and figure out, okay, what can it not do, right? Because obviously it's not magic. All these AI agents break in some way. I want to be realistic. I don't want to be SEO or anything like that, right? So let's see what it can't do. And we're going to test it to its limits by saying open up Ahrefs, do some keyword research for SEO. Then give me some ideas of low competition keywords for my niche. All right. Kind of something you would give like a virtual assistant to do. And additionally, what we're going to do is we'll say niche equals, I don't know, dogs, something like that, right? We're in the dog niche, pet niche, whatever. So we'll hit enter like so. And by the way, if you want like the whole setup, the whole system, some of my best prompts for doing this stuff, etc., then you can go to the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments and description, and just get all this stuff, right? We update it daily. So it's opening up a new tab. Again, I've hands in the air. It's not me using this, all right? I'm not trying to be SEO or anything like that. It's capturing the screen, it's going off, it's doing its magic. Let's see if it can figure out how to log into Ahrefs. So I'm just going to give it a helping hand and click sign in there because for the sake of a YouTube video, I'm not going to mess around here. So it's now gone to wordcount.com, which doesn't make sense to me. But let's see what we're doing here. So can it navigate to keyword? What it should be doing right here is going to Keyword Explorer, all right? And it looks like it's figuring that out on the instructions, but let's see what it can do and what it can't do. So it's gone to Site Explorer, but not Keyword Explorer. So it couldn't click on Keyword Explorer, so now it's just going directly to the URL. It figured out what the URL is, which is pretty crazy. So it figured out it needs to go to app.ahrefs.com, then go to keywords-explorer. From here, let's see if it can figure out, okay, what does it need to type in, etc. I'm just going to move this out of the way so it doesn't interact with the, or mess around with the, the process for plugging in keywords and that sort of thing. So one of the big issues I can see right now is like it's struggling to actually type into that box and type the keyword. All right, it's figured out what to do, but for some reason it's typed in low competition keywords for the dog niche, which doesn't make sense. It should be like typing in, dogs or something like that, then filtering down to low competition keywords. But let's see what it does. It's now selected all the text on the page. It's good for you to see this live and see how easily it can break. Now it's opened up a new tab and it's searching Google for low competition dog keywords for SEO. So it couldn't figure out how to use Ahrefs. So it's just going to use the AI overviews inside Google. Honestly, if this was a virtual assistant, they wouldn't last long at the SEO agency. I'll be honest with you. It's not really doing anything that we've asked it to do. And it's totally failing on that. Alright, I'm going to stop the test there because it's getting silly now. So we're going to interrupt the session. You can click stop there. It's taken 4 minutes 22 and the closest it got was just searching on Google for low competition keywords, which to me doesn't seem like the smartest idea, I'll be honest with you. Alright, but at least you can see, okay, these are the limitations of it. So it passed on the S&P 500 task. It struggled on more challenging tasks like low competition keywords for the dog niche, for example, and using Ahrefs. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to a test account on X, and I'm going to see if it can actually post directly to X with a half decent tweet. Now I'm not going to have the tab open, I'm just going to let it all figure itself out from there. And so what we're going to do now, we'll open up a new chat here and we'll say, alright, go to Twitter, see if it can figure out the difference between Twitter and X, and say go to Twitter and post an inspiring but scary quote about the future of AI. I'll put Alex Hormozi style. Let's see if it can work its magic. One of the weirdest things about this is like it seems to struggle clicking buttons, which isn't very helpful if it's a computer use agent. Alright, so let's see what we get. It's now figured out, okay, let's navigate to this tab. We'll plug this in, blah, blah, blah. Now it's on X. And it shouldn't be doing that, mate. It shouldn't be doing that. Why are you doing that? It should just go on the home tab and type, right? But it's going into the DMs. You don't know why. It's going into notifications, but obviously I block that. We don't want that. Just go on the homepage and type a tweet, mate. No, no, it's clicking on other tweets now. It's messing around. This is what they don't show you in the ads. So now it's going back to the DMs. You don't know why. It's pressing Command and A and selecting all the text for some reason. Now it's typing in x.com/home. We don't know why there. It should just be typing in here and just typing in a tweet. Alright, I'm out. Let's see how long that took. So it's gone back to notifications, which I block on Twitter, and that took 3 minutes 19 to get nowhere, even with my help. So not very good there, not impressed at all there. So it's failed on the keyword task and also failed on the tweet task. Alright, let's try something else now. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, okay, go to bolt.new and create a basic landing page for my SEO agency. I'll just make sure I'm actually logged in on bolt.new. Yeah, so we're logged in here and we'll just see if it can do its magic. It's going nowhere fast. So even basic stuff like, for example, typing in bolt.new or going to the address bar, it's really struggling with, as you can see right here. So it's only just figured out that it's on Google's homepage. Now it's clicking the back button. And it's just getting lost. Alright, so honestly, pretty poor right there. I mean, again, it failed on the task. Just basic stuff like going to the address bar and typing in. It doesn't seem to be able to do that. Now, I'm going to show you some alternatives to this. What you can do is you can go over to Klein, for example. And this is a paid tool, all right? Because you're using, it's a free tool, but you're using a paid API, all right? So, for example, if we go down here, we can select browser settings. Then we can relaunch the browser with debug mode. And from there, we can start using this connection. All right, so let's try that. Or the other option that you have is you can use Retriever AI, right? So, well, you got a few options, I would say. So number one is you can use Retriever AI, which is a free Chrome extension. So you can install this extension, add it to Chrome. We're going to close Vi because it just totally failed on us. We'll open this up. And then we'll test this out, right? So if we go to the prompt section here, and we say, okay, go to Twitter and type in an expiring quote about AI, Alex Hormozi style. We'll see if it can do its magic, all right? So we'll click on Act here. And by the way, Retriever is free for like a certain amount of tasks. You can upgrade and it's really, really cheap. But if you just want to use it free, you can do it like this. Let's test this one out. So, I mean, you can see the difference already. Like that's gone straight to Twitter now. It's typed straight into Twitter exactly what we want it to do, and your post was sent. Boom. Look at that. That's the difference, right? So I would say personally, if you're going to use any of these sort of AI agents that can control your browser or control your laptop, etc., like this one is way more powerful. So you can see here it says AI isn't just a tool, it's a leverage that turns effort into an empire. Don't fear the future, build it, right? And that was super easy to post. Literally took like one prompt and it did it perfectly, right? So that's the difference between like VY and these other tools. Now, I really hope personally that VY gets a lot better because it'd be absolutely insane if that worked. But right now it's not quite working, all right? And it's not working the way that we want it to. You're going to get better results with something like Retriever AI, and these, you know, that's a much better computer use agent. And again, it's free to use per month, like up to a certain limit. You do pay after a certain point, but you can see the pricing right here. So if we go to the pricing, 100 free credits for the free plan. Then the basic is like $9.99 a month. Pro, you get 3,000 tasks a month. Let's try something else with Retriever AI, right? So, for example, if we go inside here and we say, right, go to Ahrefs and find me some easy keywords to rank for in the dogs niche. So exactly the same prompt that we used on VY before. We'll click on Act over here. It's gone straight to, I mean, the speed is just lightning fast, isn't it? It's just lightning fast. Is it going to figure out how to sign in? So I was struggling to sign in, so I'm just, like I did before, I'm going to sign in for this tool and just see if it figures out what to do. So it's gone straight to Ahrefs Keyword Explorer, which is great. Then it's typed in the keyword dogs. So it's already got further than VY, but let's see if it can actually figure out how to find easy keywords. So it's gone to matching terms, which is exactly what a virtual assistant would do or an SEO manager would do. They'd be going to this page to find matching terms and low competition keywords. And it's gone through the page and scraped all the keywords for us, right? So if we open this up, plug that into Google Docs and just make sure the keyword research is legit. Boom. You got all your keywords sorted by keyword difficulty right there. So it's listed the terrible ones at the bottom, aka the harder ones. You know, terrible for this task because we're trying to find low competition keywords. And then the easy keywords are right at the top, right? So for example, KD8, keyword difficulty 3, etc. I mean, some of these keywords you'd still have to filter, but that got so much further and was so much faster than using VY. So out of all these computer use agents, I would say this is one of the most impressive. What you can also do, and this is inside a virtual environment, so it's a bit safer, is you can use a free tool like, for example, Convergence AI. Now, with Convergence AI, it's not going to have your logins. So it's not going to be able to go to, for example, it's not going to be able to go to, for example, like Ahrefs or Twitter and post for you unless you give it the login details, and even then it might have some restrictions. But if you use it directly inside the chat here, you know, basic stuff like researching, finding out the latest stock prices, whatever that stuff is you want to, even like researching a trip or that sort of thing, you could easily do inside Convergence AI, and you can do it for free. Right. So, for example, if we log in here, all right, and then inside here, what you can do is, let's say, for example, okay, research a cheap trip to Florida from Manchester in July, right? Hit enter like so. Convergence is now working on that. And it plans it out for you step by step here. So you got, for example, the orchestrator, going to the flight finder, etc. Now, you might be wondering, okay, is there a AI that you can host locally, for example? Well, VY was a hosted locally agent. You know, it's just a quick app that you install to your laptop. The other option that you have is you could use something like RuCode. Now, with RuCode, if you run debug mode inside Chrome, I'm not going to do it on this video because it would just shut down all my tabs and then have to start all over again. But if you do that, it's a paid tool, so you're going to be paying for the API, not for RuCode itself. And then that's pretty good at controlling your browser and doing all this information. But honestly, I think 99% of the time you don't need a locally hosted version. The other option that you have is if you go inside the AI Profit Boardroom, we have a full SOP on this, plus we have a full SOP on Retriever as well. So if you go down here, you find the update on Retriever, the full SOP and video tutorial there. But if you go inside here and you go to browser use, you find all these different browser use agents that we've set up, right? So for example, you can see, for example, this one, exactly how we set it up, how to use it step by step. Pretty powerful stuff and really easy to set up. So you can just set up browser use web UI, for example. It's a free tool, and if you use it in conjunction with Google and AI Studio for a free API, then you can get that to control your laptop locally. However, it's a lot more technical than using something like Retriever AI, and I would recommend using Retriever, to be honest. Convergence AI is decent, but it's going to be a little while before it comes back to us, right? Whereas, for example, if we go inside Retriever here, and we're like, okay, research cheap trip from Florida to Manchester, blah, 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 hit act like so, that should do it a lot faster, right? Kind of like a human would. So let's see what we get back from Retriever, and we'll compare it versus Convergence AI. Yeah, so now it's going straight to the flights website on Google, searching for flights, using the browser use. Pretty simple and easy. So just to recap on all the tools that we've used so far, we've used VY by Vercept, Retriever AI, and Convergence AI. And so far, the one that's performing the best is Retriever. And again, Retriever you can use for free. You get 100 free credits. This is struggling though too. Look at this. It's like scrolling straight down to the bottom of the page, which doesn't make sense. Let's see what it does. Yeah, so you can see even this one is not perfect. Like, it typed in all the right details, so Bangkok to Florida, Tuesday, come back end of July. But it should have just clicked explore. And also we said from Manchester, not from Bangkok. So it should have changed that to Manchester and then clicked explore there. Not great. Let's see how Convergence AI is getting on. So you can see it's still researching right here. It's still doing its magic. But again, it's not really a computer use agent. You know, you could use something like Scout.new or GenSpark or Manus to autonomously go off and, you know, do whatever you want on the internet. So it's not bad, but it's not great. Let's try something else now with, for example, Retriever AI. So open up a new chat. And we'll do something basic like follow Retriever AI on LinkedIn. Let's see if it can do that. So it's managed to do that task pretty quickly, right? It's gone straight to LinkedIn. It's found Retriever AI. It's following them now, and that was incredibly easy, right? I won't follow them because you know I don't want to follow them, but you get the point. Like it's quite easy to get that set up. Didn't take long at all, and you know you get the results pretty quickly. I do still think like a lot of these tasks are pretty basic. You know, like you're not going to get anything mind blowing here. Let's try something else now. So if I go to WordPress and I just log in, can this write and create blog posts? Let's test that out. All right, so I'm going to say here, log in to juliangordy.com via WordPress and create a new blog post about the future of SEO. Let's see what it does. So it's gone to the dashboard here on WordPress. It's figured that bit out. Let's see if it can actually click through to tasks, to posts. So it's now navigating to post new. Impressive so far. Let's just see if it can actually write the title and the content itself. Wow. Yeah, it's actually done it. So I mean, it's pretty basic, but it was just a test task. But it actually, this is crazy. It's way faster than a virtual assistant. So it's actually gone onto WordPress, logged in, gone to the posts. This is using Retrieve AI. Typed in the title, and then if we go through to the page, it's actually published it, right? Obviously, super basics. It's just a little test task, but you can see how easy that was, how seamless that was, right? If we try and do the same thing now inside VY, we can see if it works or not. But that was crazy good, to be fair. I mean, like, obviously you would improve the blog post. I'm going to delete that page as well, because obviously it's just a test post. Let's get rid of that. But still, impressive. That worked seamlessly. It was crazy powerful. All right, so now we'll ask VY to do that and just compare them side by side. We'll start a new chat here. Like so. Hit enter and see if it can do the same thing. So exactly the same task, same prompt, etc. It's now gone to pretty links for some reason on the plugin. You don't know why. Then it's gone to lead connector. Just show my API key to everyone on the internet. And it's gone back to pretty links. Alright, so it's a total fail on VY, right? That's the difference here. I mean, I don't think that Retriever actually have a lot of marketing, so, you know, there's not a lot of hype about a Retriever, but it is a super powerful tool. And it is really good so far from what I've seen. So, definitely recommend. I'm just going to have to delete the API key here. There we go. But yeah, I would say Retriever AI is just so much better. Another option that we could try is actually just getting Claude directly to use computer use. So let's try that. We'll run this now. Inside, so if we open up terminal, we'll plug in npm install. That's going to open up computer code. And then we just need to connect that directly to Claude. So it is fairly simple. If you've never used Claude, then it can be a bit annoying, but let's try this out. Then we're just going to log in. We'll shut down Retrieve AI. And Claude Code is now set up in the terminal. Hit enter to continue, and then we'll just keep going from here. And you can see that can basically run from your laptop as well. So for example, you know, we said Google the price of the S&P 500, as you can see, and then using the Claude Computer Use Agent, that can actually just navigate the web, pull in the details, and then it pulls in the price, right, based on the current prices. Let's just check that actually works. So obviously the market is closed. That price is way out, to be fair. I just want to make sure. One sec. Yeah, it doesn't look like Claude Code can use computer use either, as you can see right here. We'll terminate that. Now, another option that I want to try is if we go, we'll shut down VY because that's not been particularly great. And then we'll go over to Visual Studio Code. And we're going to go inside Visual Studio Code to Client. And inside Client, we're going to install this plugin, Browser Use, right? So to install that, you just go inside Client. We've got a full SP on how to use it if you want inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And then from here, you would click on the MCP Market, type in browser in the marketplace, and then we can install Browser Use. I'm going to use Anthropic Claude 3.7 Sonnet to set that up. Obviously, it's a paid API. You could use something like Gemini 2.5 Pro, but honestly, for installing MCPs like Claude is going to save a lot of time, especially for the sake of this video. Then we'll approve this. Just keep clicking run on commands if you want to install this like I am. and then it will offer you, it will ask you like, okay, do you have an API key for the chosen provider? We'll get a test one off Anthropic, just for the sake of this video. Interesting. I don't know if you can actually use this, but you can see here, for example, like Google AI, Gemini, that sort of thing. So you might be able to get a free API key for this as well. And then we just need to provide the API key for Anthropic, which I will delete after this video. Do that in the background. So if you want to get an API key from Anthropic, you can just go down here and then you can click in API keys and get that working for yourself. Once you got that, go back to Visual Studio Code, paste in the API key. And then we'll wait for that to load. You never know if it's going to work or not, right? But it does say, great, I've successfully updated the MCP settings. Here's what we're going to do. Let's run this, test it out, etc. And it's running the browser agent tool, right? So it says client wants to use the tool on the browser use MCP server. Let's plug that in. We said go to example.com, take a screenshot, extract the information, blah, blah, blah. And let's see what we get back. Boom, look at that. So it's actually done the task. And it's like, great, the MCP server is working correctly. I've successfully used the browser agent, blah, blah, blah. We're good to go on that. We can also choose to run like a deep search here as well. I don't particularly want to do that, but you get the point. Like, you can use browser use now. I'm wondering as well whether we could change the key to use Gemini instead, right? And then it would be free instead of paying for it. So let's try that. This could totally mess everything up, but we'll try and see if we can use the API key from AI Studio instead. So I'm going to get an API key which is free from aistudio.google.com. In fact, we'll just grab one of these and I'll delete it in a second. So we'll copy that. Then we'll go back here and I'm going to say, okay, change the MCP server API key for browser use from Claude to Google. Here's the API key to use. Delete the Anthropic API key for this MCP. And then what I'm going to do over here is I'll go out to Anthropic and we'll delete that test one that we just created. I said I need to update the MCP server configuration to use Google instead of Anthropic. Let's update the settings, blah, blah, blah. We'll see if that works. Again, just for setting this up, I would highly recommend that you do use Claude, just because it's going to be easier. But you see here how we get an error now that we switched to Google. So let's run that again, see if we can get it done. Yeah, see? You see how it doesn't work now? I reckon it's because you can't actually use that API key with Google. Let's just check here. So, browser use MCP. So it's Psycho. It does say you can use Google's API key. Let's see what we can do about that. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go back into the MCPs, installed, we'll delete that server. Then I'll go back into the marketplace. Again, it was working perfectly with Claude. We might just have to reinstall it if we want to use it with Google. So we'll go inside here, we'll grab that API key again, copy that, go back here. Hit approve. But this might be a better option because then not only can you use browser use, but additionally you can code with it at the same time, right? So then you're connecting any sort of coding projects to computer use, browser use, etc. You can connect it to the internet, and if you can use Google Studio, then it'll be free. But either way, that might be better than using something like Retrieve AI inside your browser. Overall, so far, though, I would say out of all these browser use agents, Retriever is the best. VY probably the worst. The MCP from browser use probably coming in second. And then Convergence AI is probably just above using using others. That's interesting, isn't it? Because before it gave us the option to use Google. So it's now adding the API key inside the MCP section here, as you can see. There, oh. Yeah, total fail. Total fail. All right. let's see if it works next. So it's getting closer, it looks like. So now we're just testing it, seeing if it works, right? So it's stated it works here. Here's a screenshot, but to me that doesn't look like it worked at all. There we go. That is working though. Beautiful. So that user browser use MCP server with AI Studio, which makes it free. Honestly, like that's going to be your second best option there. So if we had to rank them, in terms of, you know, free ones, free options for browser use agents and computer use agents, then I'm actually going to put the MCP for browser use at the top, and you use that with AI Studio API key to make sure it works. Option number 2 would be using Retriever. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to put Convergence AI. And then number 4, I would place VY. Right? That might be good in the future, but right now it just seems to be in beta and it seems to struggle a lot compared to MCP or Retriever AI. Retriever AI as well, like you don't need any coding skills to set up. So for like non-techie people, that's probably your best option. But either way, you can see like which AIs are the best for using browser use agents, which ones can control. These are all like local options apart from Convergence AI, and pretty easy and simple to set up, as you can see. And again, like if you want ones that actually work, you're going to use the MCP or Retriever AI. If you want one that's very, very experimental but non-techie, VY. And if you want one in a virtual private, you know, like a remote desktop, then use Convergence AI. Either way, you got a lot of options there. And I'm going to delete that API key. I've paused all the API keys down here. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to an amazing community focused on making money and saving you time with AI, feel free to get the AI Profit Boardroom. Comes with all my best AI agents, SOPs, templates, workflows, etc. We're updating this every single day. This is literally the community that just keeps me focused on pushing and learning about AI and sharing it all with you, because, you know, it's just an awesome community of people. And additionally, you can see inside the community, there's 636 people that you can just ask questions and advice for and that sort of thing. So if you're struggling with anything, post inside the community. You can get a lot of questions answered there. Additionally, we do weekly live calls, like you can see. So you can jump on the live calls, ask any questions you have, get some help, etc., and just meet a bunch of cool people. You know, it's quite hard to meet people who are really deep into AI. And so, you know, if you're joining in this community, which is just available in the link in the comments and description, then you can join a community of people focus on something that's very unique but very, very important right now, right? And then additionally, if you don't have time to join the live Q&As but you want to watch them back, just watch them back in the Q&A recording section here. And what I'll do today is I'll actually create an SOP based on the video from today so that you can get all the notes, right? So if you want to learn all this stuff, you can. And additionally, you can see we're updating this every single day with like new systems, new templates. For example, the new Notebook LM update, we've added a full SOP for that. Scout.new as well. Claude MCP updates, like all the latest stuff that actually works. We create video tutorials, we create SOPs, and we share all the best stuff about this stuff. So if you want like a community that's literally just improving every single day, this is the one. And additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how to get more leads, more traffic, more sales to your website, then feel free to get the SEO strategy session, link available in the comments and description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars with SEO in sales. Feel free to get that. This is based on what's working for all our happy clients, like you can see right here. And the link to that is in the comments and description. Either way, if you just jump on the call, whether you become a client of our SEO agency or not, you're going to learn something from there, right? Like I personally train all the people that take the calls, and really we just get on that call and we just try and help you as much as we can. We know if we provide value, if we help you, then quite often people just become clients. They're like, oh, we like these guys, they can just implement it for us, all right? So thanks so much everyone for watching. See you on the next one. Cheers, bye-bye.